Your $100,000 Ford can look powerful, expensive, and ready for anything, until one problem sends it into a service line with no easy way out. That is the part owners are starting to feel. The truck exists, the payment continues, the dealership is open. But when there are not enough mechanics to handle the repairs, even the most expensive vehicle can become useless. And that is where this gets serious. This is not only about one broken part or one frustrated owner. It is about Ford, nearly 70,000 cars, and a repair system already stretched thin. A luxury truck can carry every option on the window sticker, but none of it matters if the vehicle cannot move, cannot be fixed quickly, or has to wait behind thousands of others. So what happens when expensive Fords keep piling up and the people needed to fix them are disappearing? Ford has spent years making its trucks larger, stronger, smarter, and more expensive. Leather seats, huge screens, powerful engines, technology everywhere. The price kept moving higher until the $100,000 pickup was no longer an idea. It was sitting inside a real showroom. The F4 50 Limited crossed that line for the 2018 model year, giving buyers one of the most expensive factory pickups ever placed on an American road. And with that price came a simple expectation: this truck should work. A customer paying that much is not buying something to admire from a driveway. He may need it to tow equipment, move livestock, reach a work site, carry a family, or earn a living. But Jim Farley has admitted that Ford dealerships are still short around 5,000 technicians. By June 2026, he said the missing workers were increasing repair costs and slowing service across America. His words were direct: customers are feeling the pain. The people feeling it are the ones still making payments. Then another number appeared. On July 7, 2026, federal safety officials disclosed 2 Mustang recalls covering 110,626 vehicles in the United States. The larger group contained 67,842 cars, including regular Mustangs and the rare Mustang GTD. Rounded up, that is almost 70,000 Fords connected to a single safety problem. Not old cars hidden in scrapyards. Current models spread across homes, transport systems, dealer lots, and Ford's own delivery network. The first problem involves the windshield wipers, which may not work correctly under certain conditions. The second concerns a rear pinion shaft that may break and affect the vehicle's movement. Either one can turn an ordinary drive into a safety problem. And once a safety defect becomes official, every affected car has to enter some form of repair queue. Some need parts, some need inspection, some need software. Everyone needs someone qualified to complete the work. That is where the price begins to feel almost cruel. A $100,000 Ford can have every luxury option available and still become useless when one necessary part stops working. Almost 70,000 cars can be connected to a recall, while 5,000 openings remain inside Ford's dealer network. The Ford owner sees only the final result. The vehicle exists. The repair is known. The dealership has the building, but the car or truck is still not moving, and the payment has not stopped. The number at the center of this begins with 67,842 vehicles. They include the 2024 to 2026 Mustang and certain versions of the 2025 to 2026 Mustang GTD. Under some cold weather conditions, the windshield wiper system may not operate as intended. The washer may also fail. That sounds small beside an engine failure, but a driver who cannot clear snow, water, dirt, or road salt from the windshield can quickly lose the ability to see what is directly ahead. The figure is often shortened to 70,000, but it is important to understand what the number means. NHTSA counts the full affected population. Some cars are already parked in owner driveways. Others may be in used car stock, factory storage, transport yards, or dealer inventory. The public record does not show that every affected car is unsold. What it does show is that every affected new vehicle still controlled by a dealer faces a restriction before a customer can receive it. The rule sits inside 49 US Code, Section 30120. When a notified new Ford contains a safety defect, the dealership may offer it for sale, but the required remedy must be performed before delivery under the sale. That phrase changes everything. A customer may choose the car, arrange the financing, discuss a trade-in, and sign papers. Yet the vehicle may remain behind the showroom because the defect has not been corrected before delivery. The car is present, but it cannot legally be handed over. The process begins with the VIN because recalls are tied to particular vehicles rather than simply every car carrying the same badge. Two Mustangs can be parked beside each other and look completely identical. One may be clear. The other may fall under the recall notice. Until the dealership checks the records and completes any required work, that second car can remain fixed to the dealer lot even while a buyer is ready to drive it away. That creates two lines inside the same building. One begins at the service desk, where existing owners arrive with letters, warning lights, or broken vehicles. Another begins near the parts room, where unsold cars wait for a remedy before delivery. Both lines eventually reach the same repair bay. Both depend on the same trained technician. And when thousands of those workers are missing, the difference between an owned car and an unsold car becomes smaller. Both can sit in the same parking lot, waiting for the same hands. Jim Farley has placed Ford's dealership shortage near 5,000 openings. These are not 5,000 empty buildings. They are positions inside real Ford dealerships, often beside lifts, tools, computers, and vehicles waiting for attention. Farley has said some advanced jobs can pay around $120,000 a year, yet Ford still cannot fill them. He described the wider situation in a sentence that sounded less like corporate promotion and more like a warning. We are in trouble in our country. The high salary exists, but it usually belongs to senior technicians who have spent years building speed and knowledge. Some top workers can reach $160,000, but the path is long. Farley has said it may take 5 years to prepare someone for the hardest work, including the skill needed to remove a diesel engine from a heavy-duty truck. A young person does not enter the shop on Monday and become a highly paid master technician by Friday. A modern Super Duty is not only a collection of metal parts. It carries cameras, modules, sensors, emissions controls, driver assistance features, and layers of software. The person repairing it may need to understand mechanical movement and electronics at the same time. He may have to read fault codes, test communication between computers, and trace failures through several diagnostic networks before turning a single bolt. The vehicle has become more capable, but the job of repairing it has become harder to enter. Ford has tried to build that missing workforce through TechForce and other training efforts. From 2018 through early 2026, the program trained around 1,400 technicians. That sounds meaningful until it is placed beside the current shortage. 7 years of training produced fewer than 1/3 of the workers Ford says it still needs. And training a new person does not immediately replace a master technician who understands transmissions, electrical faults, diesel systems, and complicated warranty procedures. Ford has added $5,000 scholarships, clothing, transport help, and access to 25,000 tools each year through a Detroit lending program. Another partnership plans to train 300 students over 3 years. Those programs may help the next generation, but a car waiting today does not become repaired by a student who may qualify years from now. The service manager needs someone who can work now, and the customer standing at the counter needs someone who can return the keys now. The Mustang problem did not enter an empty service system. In March 2026, Ford issued 2 rear-view display recalls covering almost 1.74 million vehicles. One group included the Bronco and Edge, where an internal infotainment component could overheat and stop the rear image from appearing. A driver could shift into reverse, look at the display, and find that the picture had disappeared. Some of those vehicles could be repaired through software. Others entered a longer process. One part of that action covered 849,310 Broncos and Edges. Another covered 889,950 Escapes, Corsairs, Aviators, and Explorers. In some Escape vehicles, the rear image could appear flipped or inverted. The same issue reached the Explorer and several Lincoln models. Ford said it was not aware of related injuries at the time, but the size mattered. Each notice created new owner letters, VIN checks, software work, questions, calls, and possible dealership visits. The pressure had already been growing before that. In July 2025, Ford recalled 694,271 SUVs, mainly the Bronco Sport and Escape, because fuel injectors could crack and leak fuel near hot engine parts. Federal officials had earlier said they had significant safety concerns about a remedy that did not replace the injectors themselves. Ford later expanded the action, creating another massive group of vehicles needing instructions, temporary software work, and eventually a more complete solution. Another action covered 355,656 trucks, including the 2025 F-150 and several 2025 to 2026 Super Duty models. Their instrument panels could fail at startup, leaving drivers without speed, warning lights, fuel information, or other critical details. Ford had received 95 warranty claims connected to the problem by June 2025. Many vehicles could receive a remote update, but owners who could not complete it still had to depend on the dealership network. The deeper problem reached beyond one part. In 2024, Ford agreed to a penalty of up to $165 million after NHTSA said the company had moved too slowly on a rear-view camera recall and had supplied incomplete or inaccurate information. Ford also accepted outside monitoring and a review of earlier recall decisions. That matters because the service departments were not only handling new problems, they were also carrying the weight of old actions that regulators believed had not been handled quickly or widely enough. A Ford dealership looks like one company to the customer. The Ford name is on the building. Ford vehicles fill the lot. Ford signs hang above the service lanes. But the dealership is usually an independently operated franchise. Ford provides repair procedures, software systems, technical rules, parts channels, and warranty standards. The dealer supplies the building, employs the workers, manages the service schedule, and tries to keep every repair bay producing enough money to support the entire operation. A recall repair may appear free to the owner, but the work still has a cost. Under federal law, the manufacturer must remedy the defect or non-compliance without charge. That means the customer should not pay for the required safety remedy. But the dealership must still inspect the vehicle, assign the correct worker, order the part, complete the job, record the result, and request reimbursement through the manufacturer's system. Free to the owner does not mean effortless inside the shop. The person at the counter may see only one appointment, but the technician sees a chain. The vehicle must be moved inside. The problem must be confirmed. A diagnostic computer may need to connect with several modules. The correct replacement part must be present. The work must then be documented under the exact warranty procedure. A missing clip, unavailable component, software error, or wrong code can stop the job even after the car has reached the lift. Many technicians are paid through a system known as flat rate. A repair is assigned a certain amount of labor time, and the worker's pay may depend on completing it within that number. Experienced workers can do very well, especially when they know a job deeply. But a difficult transmission repair can trap a younger technician for hours. The worker still needs expensive personal tools, continuing training, and enough speed to protect his weekly income. One complicated vehicle can consume an entire day. A senior Ford technician profiled by the Wall Street Journal worked on a job carrying around 10 labor hours. The repair involved a large transmission, and many other workers reportedly avoided that kind of work because of its weight and complexity. A master technician may finish faster and earn well. A less experienced person may lose time and money. That difference explains why an open service position cannot be filled by simply hiring someone who has changed oil or replaced brakes in a small independent garage. Ford has already shown what happens when thousands of finished vehicles cannot move forward. In 2024, the company built but held back 144,000 trucks, including redesigned F-150 and Ranger pickups. The vehicles were real. They had left the assembly line. They carried paint, seats, engines, computers, and identification numbers. But Ford delayed shipping them while engineers searched for quality problems. A completed truck could exist in company inventory without being ready for a customer. Ford's chief financial officer said the company had around 60,000 F-150SS in stock that it expected to send out during the quarter. Those trucks were not sitting because nobody knew what they were. They were being held inside a controlled quality process. The company wanted to catch problems before the trucks reached North American dealers. Until that work was complete, thousands of valuable vehicles remained separated from the people waiting to buy them. The engineers found that some electronic components were not shutting down correctly or were drawing more power than expected. Ford changed the vehicle software before the trucks left. The company's statement was simple. Engineers updated the problematic software before any trucks left the plant. That saved customers from receiving some of those problems. But it also shows why a finished truck is not always a usable truck. Production can end while the path to final delivery remains closed. Ford had a financial reason to slow the process. The company spent nearly $4.8 billion on warranty repairs during 2023. That money represented far more than damaged parts. It represented technician hours, dealer reimbursements, transport, replacement components, administration, and repeated visits. Holding the new F-150 fleet was meant to find failures earlier. Yet it also showed the size of the burden moving through Ford's warranty system before the newest recalls were added. The hold lasted only until Ford believed the vehicles were ready. But for the customer, the meaning was clear. A new truck can be built and still unavailable. It can appear on an inventory report and still remain far from the dealer showroom. It can be worth tens of thousands of dollars and still wait for engineering approval. When the same delay happens after vehicles have reached dealers, the last step depends on the service department, the very place where Ford says thousands of trained workers are missing. The current Mustang action creates that same problem at several points at once. Every affected Mustang VIN has to be identified. Ford must know which cars carry the relevant parts and which do not. A factory yard may hold some. A transport company may carry others. Many are already with owners. Some remain inside dealer inventory. Until the records are checked, the dealership cannot treat every similar-looking car as though it has the same delivery status. A buyer may see two cars wearing the same color, trim, wheels, and engine badge. One new Mustang may be clear to leave. The other may appear on the recall list. Federal law does not require the dealership to hide it from view, but the defect must be repaired before delivery to the customer. That leaves an unsold vehicle caught between agreement and possession. It may have a buyer's name attached to it while it still cannot cross the dealership exit. The exact number of unsold cars inside the 67,842 population has not been made public. Some are already owned. Some may have been repaired quickly. Others may never require a long physical visit. But every affected dealer-held car enters the same legal rule. It cannot be delivered until the required remedy is complete. That is the real connection between the 70,000 figure and the image of unsold inventory waiting behind a showroom. The cars already owned add pressure from the other direction. Their drivers call the same Ford dealer, use the same service calendar, and may require the same parts or trained workers. An owner with poor visibility cannot simply wait forever because unsold cars are ahead. A dealer cannot ignore sold vehicles because new inventory is losing money. Both groups compete for the same repair capacity, and that capacity is already missing around 5,000 workers. That is how unsold becomes undeliverable. The vehicle may be polished, charged, fueled, photographed, and listed online. The buyer may qualify. The financing may be ready. The trade-in may already have a value. But the required safety repair stands between the car and the road. And until the qualified technician completes it, the vehicle remains useful only as something to look at. It cannot perform the one job every customer expected it to do. It cannot leave. Ford is not a company that has suddenly lost every buyer. During 2025, its United States sales rose about 6% to more than 2.2 million vehicles. Hybrid sales reached a record, and the Maverick continued attracting customers looking for a smaller and less expensive pickup. Those results matter because they show something important. Ford does not have one single inventory problem covering every car, truck, state, model, and buyer. The pressure changes depending on the vehicle. The picture shifted again in the second quarter of 2026, when Ford's US sales fell 10.3%. Reuters connected much of the decline to lower inventory levels of its popular F-150 pickup trucks. That creates an unusual contrast. Ford can have too few F-150 pickups available in one part of the business, while recalled, held, or slower-selling other models remain stuck elsewhere. A company can suffer shortage and excess at the same time. Not every recall creates a physical line at the dealership. Some software updates can travel directly to a vehicle over the air. The 355,656 truck display action, for example, could be corrected remotely for many owners. That saves appointments and removes pressure from technicians. But a broken mechanical component cannot always be repaired through a signal. A wiper motor, cracked injector, transmission, diesel engine, damaged shaft, or unavailable replacement assembly still needs real tools and human hands. Not every Ford technician is underpaid either. An experienced senior master can earn well above $100,000, and some top jobs have been reported near $160,000. Those workers prove the career can become valuable, but they also prove why the shortage is difficult. Ford does not merely need thousands of beginners. It needs people with enough years of experience to handle the hardest vehicles quickly, accurately, and safely inside a demanding flat-rate system. So the numbers do not cancel the warning. They sharpen it. Ford still has working mechanics. Not every recalled car is unsold. Not every repair takes weeks. And not every six-figure truck will fail. But the combination remains real. Almost 70,000 Mustangs entered one safety action, while thousands of technician jobs remained open. The extreme wording becomes more precise, but the owner's problem stays the same. When his particular Ford stops moving, national sales totals do nothing for him. The full picture begins with the price. A six-figure Ford creates a promise of strength, support, and long-term usefulness. The buyer may choose a Super Duty because a smaller truck cannot handle the work. He may select the diesel engine, towing package, cameras, premium cabin, and advanced electronics because the vehicle has to perform several jobs at once. That same complexity makes the truck more capable. It also makes the repair process far more demanding when something fails. Then comes the volume. The 67,842 car recall does not stand alone. Ford has issued actions covering hundreds of thousands, and sometimes more than 1 million vehicles at a time. Many can be corrected quickly. Others need parts, inspections, new software, or another remedy that is still being developed. Each one creates letters, calls, scheduling, documentation, and owner concern. The work continues entering the system while the technician shortage remains near 5,000 positions. Ford says it is changing the way it finds problems. After years of high warranty costs, the company began slowing launches and examining vehicles before shipment. The 144,000 truck hold showed that Ford was willing to delay deliveries to catch defects earlier. Jim Farley has defended that wider effort, and executives have said, the plan's working. Yet the $4.8 billion spent on warranty repairs in 2023 shows how much damage had already moved beyond the factory and into the dealer network. The missing workers sit in the middle of all of it. Ford can design a remedy. A supplier can produce the part. A truck can reach the dealership parking lot. But someone still has to open the repair instructions, connect the computer, remove the damaged component, install the new one, test the system, and close the warranty record. Without the qualified mechanic, every other part of the process stops at the final step. The customer's keys remain behind the counter. That is why the vehicle can feel useless even when it is not permanently destroyed. The engine may run. The interior may be perfect. The tires may still carry their factory marks. But a serious defect, a legal delivery restriction, or an unfinished repair can keep the entire vehicle from doing its job. The customer is not paying for an engine alone. He is paying for daily transportation. When the Ford cannot provide that, its impressive price and equipment become less important than the empty repair bay beside it. The $100,000 Ford is real. Ford crossed that level years ago with a factory-built heavy-duty pickup, and expensive versions remain part of the brand's image. Buyers pay for towing, power, comfort, safety, and support. They are not expecting a perfect machine that can never break. They are expecting a company capable of helping when it does. That expectation becomes harder to protect when the service system lacks thousands of people and the recall workload keeps growing around the dealer network. The 70,000 car part is tied most directly to the 67,842 Mustangs inside the July 2026 wiper action. The public record does not place every one of those cars in unsold inventory, but the affected new vehicles still held by dealers cannot be delivered until the safety work is finished. That is enough to create a real group of blocked cars, vehicles that may be advertised, selected, and financed, but still cannot be handed to the person waiting for them. The phrase about having no mechanics left points toward Ford's acknowledged shortage of around 5,000 technicians. It does not mean every worker has disappeared. It means thousands of lifts and positions could be producing repairs, but remain unfilled. Farley has reduced the problem to one plain sentence: we have 5,000 openings. Those openings matter because modern Ford repairs require years of training. A building full of tools cannot replace the missing human skill needed to use them. For the owner, the final result is painfully simple. The monthly payment continues, insurance continues, work continues. The family still needs transportation. But the Ford may remain at a dealership waiting for a diagnosis, an available part, a software remedy, or the right master technician. A vehicle designed to pull thousands of pounds can be stopped by one small defect. A truck built for hard daily work can spend days doing nothing. That is when an expensive machine becomes a parked obligation. And that is the meaning behind the title. A six-figure truck is useless when it cannot perform the job that justified its price. Almost 70,000 current cars can be connected to one safety action, while some unsold units remain blocked before delivery. Roughly 5,000 missing technicians can stretch the distance between Ford announcing a repair and a customer receiving a working vehicle. The final question now belongs to Ford itself. Can it train people and improve quality faster than new problems continue entering the bays?